Now, let's start the second part of Chapter 10, that is the aggregate supply. We are going to do a brief introduction of the second part of Chapter 10, and then we are going to jump to Chapter 5.2, the second part of Chapter 5, unemployment, and then come back to Chapter 10.2. So we have already drawn the aggregate demand curve. Next, let's draw the aggregate supply curves. Remember, before we draw any supply curve, we have to know who the suppliers are. So who are the suppliers in the aggregate market? The answer is whoever produces. Whoever produces is a supplier in the economy. Therefore, who are the suppliers? The answer is production factors. Production factors. So what are production factors in the aggregate market? The answer is labor, capital, and technology. Labor, capital, and technology. Remember, in macroeconomics, we distinguish demanders and suppliers based on their behaviors. So the suppliers' behaviors are production. So the aggregate suppliers are production factors, labor, capital, and technology. The aggregate supply curves are special. They are different from the regular supply curve that you have seen in microeconomics. Why? Because actually, in the aggregate market, we have two supply curves. We have two supply curves. One is for long run, the other one is for short run. That is, we have long run aggregate supply curve and short run aggregate supply curves. So we have long run aggregate supply curve and short run aggregate supply curve. We have two aggregate supply curves in the aggregate market. So first, we have to understand the definition of economic long run and economic short run. So how long is a long run and how short is a short run? Well, we define economic long run and short run not based on the length of the time. Say for example, 1 week, 1 month, is 1 year long run or short run? No, that is not how we define the macroeconomics long run and short run. Then how do we define the macroeconomic long run versus macroeconomic short run? Macroeconomic long run is the time frame that is long enough for all three production factors to adjust to their optimal levels. Therefore, economic short run is the period of time that capital and technology are fixed. You don't have time to adjust these two production factors to their optimal level. The only production factor that you can adjust in the short run is labor. Let me say it again. So macroeconomic long run is the period of time that is long enough for all three production factors to adjust to their optimal level. In the short run, capital and technology are fixed. You can only adjust labor to its optimal level. Let me give you an example. Say for example, you are a farmer. Currently on your farm, you have 10 apple trees. and you hire 5 people to pick the apples for you. Now, Myers give you a call and say that your apples are very good. It's all sold out. We will need more apples next month. Okay. Now you have 10 apple trees. Is it possible that you can grow 2 more apple trees and grow more apples so that you can have more apples next month? No, it's too short. Optimally, you should have 12 apple trees now to meet the demand from the Myers. But in the long run, in the short run, in a short period of time, in a month, you cannot grow 2 more apple trees. And you don't have more advanced fertilizers for you to get more apples out of your apple trees in such a short period of time. The only thing that you can do is, with the current technology, fertilizer, and the current capital, 10 apple trees, you can hire more people to pick apples from your apple trees so that you can have more apples to send to Myers. That is the macroeconomic short run. You only have 10 apple trees. You only have current technology on the fertilizer. But over the long run, you know that your apples are very popular. So optimally, you should have 12 apple trees. And in the long run, better fertilizer is available. Therefore, in the long run, you will adjust your apple trees and adopt the best fertilizers so that you can produce optimal level of apples. So that's the difference between long run and short run. Therefore, in the long run, all 3 production factors, labor, capital, technology, are adjusted to their optimal level. Therefore, you will produce at the optimal level of GDP. And that level is called potential GDP. Therefore, potential GDP is the GDP level when the production factors, labor, capital, and technology, all adjust to their optimal level. That's the production level the economy can produce with optimal level of labor, capital, and technology. And if labor is adjusted to its optimal level, then we call that the economy is under full employment. Full employment. All right? And in order to understand the full employment and therefore potential GDP, we are now going to jump to chapter 5.2 to talk about employment. Then after chapter 5.2, we'll come back to aggregate supply curves.